Well, I was just going to make this video possibly only for my one channel, American Russian Survival, but I'm going to make it for both because it might be a little bit too controversial. But I want to go over, I can't really give you exact information all the time and prove it with double-blind studies because I'm one person, okay? But I'm a reasonable person. I don't get into crazy theories and things like that. But sometimes the truth is out there and it's just not the expected conventional wisdom that most people think is the truth. The ParaZapper, to me, is one of the best damn things going since sliced bread. Now, in our bodies, we always have a battle going on, and I want to actually term this, basically you versus the ParaZapper versus the parasites, or your energy versus the parasites. And using the ParaZapper, what I'm going to be doing also is I'm going to be using 464 naval brass and making some paddles out of it for the contacts because it's not going to tarnish and it's not going to be toxic. Now, one thing I picked up, and actually somebody gave me this comment, but I verified it. Marcus Rothkrantz, he's got like a health channel, and he's got that beautiful blonde woman out there. It looks like she's 22 years old, and I don't know if she's in 50 or something. I don't know what the hell her age is. They're all into health. He said tests at funeral homes show 97% of body fluids consumed with worms and parasites. That's what's actually going on in your body when your immune system isn't working, right? When you die, your parasites and worms are going to get you. But you actually have this battle going on all the time. Now, according to Hulda Clark, and I think she's right because actually, we're talking body fluids, you're talking like water. Even ParaZapper did the test with the water. He's not allowed to say anything past that with the body, but the body is mostly water, liquid, right? It shows that the parasites are destroyed in water with the zapper, especially this ParaZapper, which I really love. I really like using it a lot. This is his cheapest model, and it's actually excellent because it has a lot of frequencies in there. There's 14 frequencies, but I also want to concentrate on the 10,000 hertz. But the way this thing really works the best is if you use it a lot. You really want to wear it. And actually, I've been using it for 9 to 10 hours a day. More than eight, at least 8 hours a day. And I'm going to get into trying to wear this all the time. I was doing it for a while, but one of the problems I have is if I use copper, which is better because it's non-toxic, it gets tarnished. If I use stainless steel, it doesn't get tarnished. Now, if you use stainless steel, it's not that bad. If you use 316 stainless versus 304, but it has nickel in it, and electrolysis from the nickel, when you're using the frequencies, could get in your body possibly and be somewhat toxic. I mean, I don't know how much of it's going to happen. Some people do use stainless, but this is 464 naval brass. It's 59% copper, 40% zinc, 1% tin. The tin is not toxic. There's supposedly a very, very trace amount of lead in there, but you're talking about that lead is not going to jump out of the thing. Actually, the tin is not toxic. It's not beneficial or toxic. It's just inert to the body. It's like there's tin-lined cans with food in it. I mean, it's not really bad. But the tin is placed in there so the zinc doesn't leach out of the material and it stays, good. And this is the side of the 464 brass that I got that was not covered in the plastic. You can see how shiny it is. It's freaking looks like it's polished brass. I mean, I think this stuff's going to work out very well. It's a 16 gauge. I'm going to have to cut out some paddles about that size. I'll probably send a sheet of this stuff to ParaZapper in a 8x10 11 envelope or something, a couple sheets of it that size that fit in one of those priority envelopes so he can experiment with it. But within this book, Parasite Zapping and the Zapper, there's a lot of history about, what was going on with using electricity for healing and for, improving the body. One of the most interesting things I saw was from George Lakowski. He actually got the ideas from Nikola Tesla, and when it didn't work out, he actually had Nikola Tesla rework Nikola Tesla came by, reworked the circuitry on a Lakowski multi-wave oscillator, which actually became a Tesla multi-wave oscillator, and it worked very well. But not only did it heal, it actually reversed aged people, improved the bodily functions. People were, I don't know, it's crazy. It's like, I don't know how it worked exactly. It's almost like when you lift off what's bringing you down, you know, your body just fixes things. Like, in other words, if you're full of toxins or if you have inflammation, if you remove the inflammation and remove the toxins, great. Now, you know, I'm not sure how much, if the ParaZapper or the Zapper will actually remove toxins, but I could say this. You know, it's a Hulda Clark statement. Hulda Clark said that the positive offset, which is used in a ParaZapper, he actually has a pedestal offset, will actually kill all microbes eventually, if used consistently. And it will also supercharge the immune system. Now, I'm assuming it's going to supercharge not just the immune system, but everything, the red blood cells, everything it comes in contact with, because the body's natural cells, or the body's cells, I don't know if I use the word natural cells, the body's cells, the ones that are you, not the parasites, have a slight negative voltage. They're like little batteries unto themselves. They also run frequencies, but I don't think it's all, well, it's a combination of things. It's frequency, it's the voltage, all kinds of things. But a healthy human cell runs a 0.5 volt negative voltage. As the cell starts getting weaker, it goes down to a 1/3 of a volt, 1/4 volt. Then if it goes to 0, the cell's dead. Athletes might run slightly higher than the 0.5 volt negative. Microbes are positively charged. They're oppositely charged. So obviously what's going on here is that somehow this positive offset zapper is shorting out microbes. That's why it kills all microbes. Not only with the frequency itself, but also the positive offset, both. So some microbes are more susceptible to certain frequencies than others, but the positive offset will still work eventually on all of them. Now, it also, if it's charging the immune system cells have that same 0.5 volt negative battery voltage. That's what they are. So does all the cells. So it's supercharging everything. So that's why sometimes I felt that when I used this a lot, I was using it like 15, 16 hours a day or more. I really felt a lot of energy. I got a lot of energy now too, but it's probably a combination of things. Probably the carbon C60, the vitamins, I don't know. A lot of different things. But what I've been using recently is a 10,000 hertz exclusively. And I've been using it for 9-10 hours a day. So I don't know how many people test this stuff. Now 10,000 hertz is also very close to 9,999, which is claimed to be on a consolidated annotated frequency list, energy and vitality. So it's close enough. 10,000 is close enough to 9999, the 4 nines, to be hitting the energy and vitality, if as claimed. Anyway, it's claimed by the consolidated annotated frequency list. Now this is off the consolidated annotated frequency list, this list here. And all these different ailments, whatever it is, are supposedly addressed by this one frequency. Now, there's another side to this with these frequencies. Now, you get the most benefit by the most hours used. If you're using, you definitely can't use 15 hertz or 15.2 hertz for like a lot of time. It's going to burn your skin unless you use really large paddles, but even so, it's still going to affect you. The higher the frequency, the less you feel it. Like the 30,000 hertz range frequency that Hulda Clark used in her zapper, you don't feel that. I don't feel the 10,000 either. I think the 10,000 frequency is a much better frequency than the 30,000. There's uses for things like 2489. It's a great frequency. And you can use it for a half an hour or so. But if you use it every day for like 8-10 hours, you're going to burn your skin. That's why I don't use those lower frequencies, because I'm using this thing almost half the day. And, 10 hours usually. 9-10 hours. I'm going to start trying to use it maybe 15-20 hours or more, maybe a good 15 hours a day, and wear it. And I'm going to make something out of these naval brass for paddles. But reason I'm doing that again is like, if I eliminate all the parasites, in other words, I'm going to eliminate, the toxins the parasites produce. I'm going to eliminate, the drag they're putting on my body, where my body has to take so much energy to fight these parasites. Now, I know you can do this with herbs and foods, and of course, but you can do it electronically. I personally think, and I'm getting pretty sure with this now, even though I'm only one person, I can't do double-blind studies, and I can't give you all the information I know. But if you use this ParaZapper like a good 15 hours a day, and it's got good electrical contact where you're using the paddles, I think, hold on a second. Yeah, I just had a UPS delivery, so I stopped for a second. But, the thing is, if you're using this 15 hours a day, you should be, if the parasites and toxins and things like that they produce are not going to be reached by the zapper, all the time. Because even if you're using the 4-point contact method, where you've got the 2 points of positive offset, positive paddles on the feet and one on the hand and the ground on the other hand, it's like, what is going to happen though is that if you're just even using 2 paddles and you're constantly using it, you're getting the blood supply, and the blood goes everywhere. So maybe you're getting a portion right here, but the body's all this, but it's the body's constantly circulating that blood, so you're getting right here, but it's still doing the job, because the blood is eventually going to get all around the body, and you're constantly zapping all the parasites within that one local area, but that one local area is eventually getting the whole blood supply right through it. So I also tested the Thunderbolt zapper. I think the Thunderbolt is a good zapper. The only problem I have with it is that you have to stay there in one spot and use it. So I use this because of portability more. I'm not sure, which is better. What's, I saw the technology is supposed to be self-adjusting, but one thing I really did like about Thunderbolt's product is the body tester. The one where you could test your body's vitality or energy. And after using the ParaZapper, I didn't do it before and after, but I was just using a ParaZapper. I didn't even receive the Thunderbolt yet. But I did receive the Thunderbolt tester first, right? But after using the ParaZapper for 15 hours a day for a month, I tested my body voltage or body power, body energy power, I think that's what they call it. It was actually excellent. So that's one way to tell that the zapper is working, Now, the thing is, I don't really like the term zapper. I guess you can't use the term rifle machine, although in a way it sort of is one a little bit. Not exactly, but a little bit like it, dumbed down one, I guess. But the cumulative effect of using it many hours has a lot of extreme benefits. And like I said, if you're going to use this all day, you can't use the lower frequencies because they burn the skin, unless you make some really wide contact area paddles or something, but then that might be too cumbersome to wear. So the 30,000 hertz, you don't feel that. But I think the 10,000 hertz is a much better frequency to use than the 30,000 hertz that Hulda Clark, settled on. Now, with Hulda Clark, she said that anywhere between, I think it's 10 hertz and 500,000 hertz would be fine. Now, the positive offset will work even if you got the wrong frequency after a period of time. If you have the frequency that kills the microbes, which a lot of this stuff does work. I mean, there's some frequencies out there that have been pretty much tested extremely well, like 20 hertz, 727.5, 787, 802, 880, 464.5 or 464 to 465, and also 10,000 hertz. Those have been tested like a lot over the decades. They really do have at least some kind of effect. It's not like they're not snake oil. I know sometimes on the consolidated annotated frequency list, they have frequencies on there that I don't think they work all the time. I mean, it's a very big list, but the main ones most people start out with They usually work for a lot of stuff. This one I think is the best one because, like I said again, you don't feel it. It won't burn your skin after a while. I mean, I can use this 10,000 hertz all day, and I won't have a rash or nothing from my skin. And now you can't do that with 20 hertz, that's for sure. You know, it's got a long list that it works against. Plus, it's so close to the 99999 that the 9,999 hertz, which is energy and vitality, that you're also getting the energy and vitality benefits according to the consolidated annotated frequency list. Now, this one has on mode 6, 10,000 hertz. It's got very good accuracy. It might be up to 100 hertz off, but it's still very close percentage-wise. The My 3 has 10,000 hertz. That, when I tested it with the leader LDC frequency made in the USA frequency counter, it was right on. You know, it should be within 1 hertz. That's within like 1/100%. That's definitely going to be perfect. But this one still will be close enough to work very well. And that's only like, I think it's 139 or something. You know, I'm going to be using this one outside because I'm afraid to use the My 3 because something happens with it, you know. I don't use the My 3 outside, you know. So I'm going to be using the ParaZapper 6-pack outside. I've been using it just before this video. But I'm going to make some paddles out of this 464 brass so they don't tarnish. And that's one of the big nuisances I have, is that I have to keep cleaning the copper, or sometimes I'll use the stainless steel, but, you know, whatever. And actually, when you use these a lot, you're going to find that the wire on the positive offset side is actually going to get consumed right on the end where it attaches. So you might want to make something whereby you have a little stainless steel bolt going through like this right here, and you know, through this one of the copper paddles or something, or I don't know, or you can just use when you make this paddle, you can just cut it out, round off the edges. It could be like this, you know, right? Round off the edges, and then just do a couple cuts in here, just enough to put one of those slide-on electrical connectors, and then just put a little, I don't know, paint over the outside electrical connector so it don't corrode. After a while, that wire is going to screw up. It'll consume itself. On a positive offset side mainly, because I have a lot of experience using the hell out of these things. But really, you get the benefits by using it a real lot. This thing is way, way, way better than the Beck Zapper. And the one thing I did like about the Beck you know, electric blood electrifier, as he called it, Bob Beck. The one thing I liked about the Bob Beck blood electrifier was that it did seem to provide more energy. But as far as knocking out microbes, it does some, but not like all. This thing really does all of them. But I found that this 10,000 hertz, you don't even feel it. You don't even feel like, you know, anything. And it seems to provide a lot of energy. Maybe it'll take you a little longer to get the same energy levels as the Bob Beck thing, but it does work. But the thing is, it knocks out a lot more microbes, and which means overall you're getting rid of all this stuff, you know. Like when they're talking 97% of body fluids consumed with worms and parasites, if you knock all that stuff out, you know how much it's going to seem like a lead weight is taken away from you, like brain fog. You notice even too, like a lot of times people take activated charcoal, they'll take higher doses of it, like not all the time, but say like in, you know, for a detoxification period, maybe they'll do it for a week. And they'll notice, like, as soon as they take it, they feel more alert, they feel more energetic. And you know what's going on? It's because you're detoxifying the body. The activated charcoal is detoxifying the body. Well, if you knock out the microbes and the worms and parasites in your bloodstream, well, you're also detoxifying, because that's where a lot of the toxins are coming from. Now, another thing, when you say negative voltage, that's the same as saying alkaline. The body, I know there's a different alkalinity in the body. I know, like in the stomach, it's acidic, and that's why it works to digest food. But on average, the body is slightly alkaline. It has this slight negative voltage. Now, parasites are slightly acidic, and they have a slight positive voltage. That is why alkalizing foods sometimes help like you can't go all the way one way or the other, but having a diet that's slightly more alkalizing is actually good for you to help remove parasites. Now, the other side of it is, too, I highly suspect that the ParaZapper, if it's actually boosting the voltage of the slightly negative alkaline body cells and shorting out the slightly positive acidic parasites, obviously it's some kind of electron donor, and somehow it's also working to detoxify the body. Very small amounts at a time. These effects aren't noticed until you really use the hell out of it. But I would not start doing this a lot. You would start doing it a half hour a day and, work up to it. But I've been consistently now since October of 2017 using the ParaZapper at least 8 hours a day. And I feel really good. Now, of course, I've added on carbon C60 and more vitamins and everything else, but I don't know. I mean, I wish there was more hours in a day to get everything done, but, sometimes I'm making these videos, and these videos take up some time, but I'm trying to get information out to you that's accurate, and I'm trying to also bring in other aspects to not just the subject I'm talking about, so you kind of understand how some things interrelate, like parasites and detox. If you knock out parasites, you are detoxing, because that's a large part of the source of toxification, not the only source. It could be just pesticides in your food and chemicals and plastics, sure. But then, I'm not 100% sure if the ParaZapper is possibly rendering some of these toxins inert, because toxins are usually acidic, which means they have a slight positive voltage. The positive offset, from what I'm deducing from what Calder Clark said, is actually causing that positive voltage to go to zero and the negative voltage to go slightly more negative. The effect actually only really happens while you're doing the ParaZapper. I mean, right as soon as you stop doing it, it's going to change. It's not going to stay there. It's a very minor effect, but the minor effect, when used a long period of time, that's the ParaZapper OVERDRIVE, has a marked effect. Well, my phone just said high temperature, so I'm out here in the hot sun. So I'm going to end this video right now. I don't know if I caught everything I said, but there you go. Over and out.